Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali, and today I'd like to talk about our addiction. So, what is addiction? And for many of us, it's associated with overusing any substance. Right from the overusage of our coffees and teas, to cigarettes, to weed, to alcohol, to heroin, to cocaine, to chasing excitement, and even to chasing the idea of love and romance. From money to power to status to fame. And even at times, if it means getting infamous in order to get a certain kind of fame. From foods to sweets or to overindulgence in anything else. Anything that's external to us and at times helps us soothe ourselves, helps us relieve our pain to a certain degree, helps us ease our distress and our discomforts. And yet, as Dr. Gabor Mate puts it, it's any behavior that helps us ease our distresses. Any behavior or patterns of behavior that we over identify with, that in a way provides us certain relief from the challenges that we refuse to face and acknowledge. Wherein he himself has acknowledged that he at one point in time was a workaholic, an addict, enslaved and addicted to his work. Because the root word for addiction is enslavement or bound to. So then at the root of it, what is it that we are enslaved to, that we are bound to? That kind of sits on the driver's seat and controls and drives our thoughts, our actions, and our behaviors. The patterns of our behaviors. The patterns of our thoughts, of our actions, and of our behaviors. And for most of us, that enslavement, that bondage, that attachment is to the idea of the image of ourselves that we have created and co-created. The image of ourselves that we identify with, or rather the idea of the image of ourselves that we over-identify with, that we do not wish to let go of, that we do not wish to reshape and to reinvent. And as Andre Agassi, the legendary tennis player, and Terry Crews, the NFL player and the Hollywood superstar would put it, goes on to admit that the image of the Terry Crew was more important than the real Terry Crew itself. Wherein even Andre Agassi at one point in time had done an ad which went on to say, which went with the tagline, that image is everything. Wherein Terry Crews even goes on to say that he was addicted to the idea or to the image of him being this successful man, but was never at ease with himself. He even was addicted to being approved, to getting approvals, to being liked, which made him a people pleaser. And if there was somebody who did not approve of him, he would become enraged. His behavior would turn into that of a 4-year-old who could not handle and regulate himself because others did not approve of him. A very similar kind of a thing has also been shared by Anita Moorjani, the author of Dying to Be Me, wherein she goes on to say that in order to blend in her environment, in order to survive in her culture, in order to feel okay in the spaces and the places that she was cohabiting in, she had become such a people pleaser that she became a doormat, that she doubled down on people pleasing, that she worked even harder if people did not approve of her, to find their approval, to find their love, to find their appreciation, to find their acknowledgement, which in a way is going the other extreme way of what Terry Crew used to do, wherein one would feel enraged while the other one would work doubly hard to get approval and to get acceptance. So in a way, the biggest addiction that almost all of us have is the addiction to the image of the idea of ourselves, is the attachment, is the enslavement, is the bondage that we over-identify with, that we would do anything to offend and defend, which probably to some degree is the biggest cause of self sabotage, wherein because of this over identification, it stops our reinvention. So think of it like this through this example. Had Siddhartha, who later became Buddha, over identified with his idea or the image of being a prince, he would have never reinvented himself to become the Buddha that he became, the wise one that he became. Had King Ashoka over identified himself as the great conqueror before the Battle of Kalinga, he would have never reinvented himself to become the King Ashoka that he later did. And well, of course, the other aspect of the reality also is that as humans, many a times, we need to hit our rock bottom. We need to experience enough suffering and enough pain that will make it difficult for us to keep remaining the same. So whether it was King Ashoka or Siddhartha, whether it was Terry Crews or whether it was Andrea Agassi, who have reinvented themselves by breaking away from the image of themselves, had to experience their own flavor of pain and of suffering to be able to do that. Which reminds me of this beautiful dialogue said by Dr. Jug from the movie Dear Zindagi, wherein he goes on to say, Zindagi में जब कोई भी आदत बनती दिखाई दे, जब कोई भी पैटर्न बनता दिखाई दे, तो उसके बारे में बहुत अच्छे से सोचो, उसके बारे में बहुत सोचो. For genius lies in knowing when to stop. For wisdom lies in knowing when to stop. So if almost all of us to some degree or the other are enslaved, are attached, are bound to the idea and hard bound to the idea or the image of ourselves that we have created and co-created, which drives and dictates our thoughts, our actions, and our behaviors. Maybe it's time to re-evaluate it. Maybe it's time to think, do we overvalue it? Maybe it's time to think, are we overly attached to it? Maybe it's time to think, do we over or under function with regards to that identity in some aspects of our lives? Maybe it's time to really think about those habits, about those ideas, about that image, about those patterns of behavior. For as Dr. Gabor Mate would put it, which I'm once again rephrasing, it's any subject, object, or idea or pattern of behavior that we overdo, that we over-identify with, is the biggest enslavement that we need to free ourselves from. Let's try and think about that a little more, or maybe a lot more. And I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the contextual content of these videos, please do like, share, and subscribe.